Welcome everybody. Welcome to the Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Taylor Stephenson, a certified broadcast meteorologist based in Norfolk, Virginia. And we talk about local weather, national weather, international weather every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. with this Weather Desk here at 13 News Now. Now, again, I'm meteorologist Taylor Stephenson. You can catch us weekdays at 9 a.m. Now, I want to bring something back from last week. We told you about Tropical Cyclone Alfred, Australia's first major cyclone in 51 years. If you don't know what a cyclone is, this is the same thing as a hurricane here in the northern hemisphere. That storm causing mass blackouts and flooding along Queensland and through New South Wales along the eastern coast of the continent. Several people reported injuries, and one person is reported unfortunately dead after the storm. But meteorologists are saying that the winds were not as destructive as they forecast. Now, something even cooler as we get into the next few days when we talk about astronomy is the fact that we have a total lunar eclipse on the horizon. For the first time in 3 years, the United States will be able to catch a rare sight, a total lunar eclipse, also known as the blood moon, because the moon will appear red in the sky. Later this week, this happens on Friday, and you can catch it here in our region early on Friday. This happens when the Earth aligns directly between the sun and the moon and casts a shadow, the shadow of Earth's shadow cast over the moon, causing that lunar surface to get dark and appear reddish. When direct sunlight is blocked, the moon takes on that reddish hue, and unlike the brief window of solar eclipses, it's completely safe to watch with the naked eye as this happens overnight. So let's talk a little bit more about the science behind lunar eclipses. Like I mentioned, it's all about alignment, so timing is super important. So you have the sun, the Earth, and the moon. When they're all in alignment at a certain point, you have Earth's atmosphere that scatters that blue light. So remember, throughout the day, we see that blue sky. That's because the sun's angle onto Earth is directly above. That allows that blue light to not easily be scattered and it hits our eyes. Every other color in that UV light spectrum gets scattered back. But remember about sunrises and sunsets, they are red, orangey, and yellow, and that's because those longer wavelengths within the UV light spectrum are those reds and oranges, and they are less easily scattered as we get into the early morning and into the evening time. So let's take this full screen and I'll show you how this orbits, the moon orbits around the Earth, and as we get that sunlight to be cast onto the Earth, it creates a shadow. We have the umbra, which is a very small but dark shadow, and the penumbra, which is the bigger but lighter shadow that is cast on Earth. Now that moon rotates and then it also orbits around the Earth, and once it gets into that very small dark shadow, remember the umbra, it gets that dark light cast onto it, causing that lunar eclipse. Look at the alignment between the sun, the moon, and the Earth. But because, remember, the red light was not scattered as easily, it also casts that really red hue onto the moon. Again, this is going to happen around 2 a.m. on Friday morning. Now, only about 13% of the world's population will be able to see totality, which includes the U.S., North America, and South America. Now, the next time you would see another total lunar eclipse here is probably going to be next year. So this is your one opportunity to see it this year, but lunar eclipses happen all the time. A lot of times, though, when they do happen, they're on other parts of the Earth. Now, we are getting into spring, and remember, this also has to do with astronomy as we get into that spring equinox. While meteorological spring has already begun, calendar spring still is coming this month on the 20th. Temperatures will be warming up this week as we get closer to that first official day of spring. Meteorologist Hunter Force explains when that is and what it may feel like around that time.
As we get closer to the first day of spring, we finally start to see our temperatures warming up. In the month of March, our temperatures around here can fluctuate, but our average high for the first day of spring is 61 degrees with an average low of about 42 degrees. But we can certainly see temperatures soar much higher than that. Here are the top 5 warmest first days of spring. Starting with number 1, March 20th, 1948. We skyrocketed to a high of 84 degrees, 23 degrees above average. Next is March 19th, 2020, with a high of 83 degrees. And then on March 20th, 1976, we reached a high of 82. Back in 2010, a high of 78. And in 2012, 74 degrees. Though our average high is only in the low 60s for the first day of spring, there's always that chance we could see an 80-degree reading since we average our first 80-degree day right around March 21st. For 13 News Now, I'm meteorologist Hunter Forrest.
So Hunter just talked about calendar spring, again, which has to do with astronomy and the spring equinox. But what is meteorological spring? Well, meteorological spring already happened. That happened on March 1st, and it's all due to temperature cycles. We, as meteorologists, group months into 4 categories. You have meteorological winter, meteorological spring, meteorological summer, and meteorological fall, and they're all grouped within three months in one group. And it's all, again, based on temperature cycles. So when we get to March 1st, we expect our temperatures to really start to rise into those spring-like temperatures. So the average temperature for us here in March is the upper 50s and lower 60s, and we're starting to see our temperatures really leveling out, especially this week into next week, where 60s and 70s will start to become the norm for us. We really won't get to that hot weather until we turn into May and June. But again, our next meteorological season doesn't happen until June. That is June 1st when we hit meteorological summer. So we still have 3 months until then. So definitely enjoy the nice, comfortable temperatures. This is one of my favorite times of the year, especially here in southeastern Virginia and northeastern North Carolina. Now, for those who are warm weather lovers, which I am as well, 80s is like 75 to 85 is my prime. I think a lot of people are wondering when we're finally going to get those consistent warm 80s. So while it is warming up here in Hampton Roads, we may not see our first 80-degree day this week. It's very unlikely. But meteorologist Hunter Forrest is back again to explain when we usually see our first 80-degree day.
So far this year, we haven't hit 80 degrees, but we've been close. Taking a look back on February 27th, we hit 79 degrees. And if you're curious when we normally see our first 80-degree day, well, the average is March 21st. Last year, though, we hit our first 80-degree day on March 14th, but the year before that, in 2023, we hit 80 degrees on February 23rd. In 2022, March 6th, March 25th in 2021, and then back in 2020 on March 19th. Now, March is a big month for our first 80-degree day, so maybe this year it'll be March again. For 13 News Now, I'm meteorologist Hunter Forrest.
And like Hunter said, again, in February, we saw a lot of those temperatures back into the 50s, some 60s, lower 70s. Even the last week of the month was fairly warm for us. We were so close to hitting that 80-degree day. This would be well above where we usually see our first 80-degree day, which is usually around the first day of spring, calendar spring. But right now, 79 is really where we've been, right next to that mark. That was February 27th. And again, we still, even now as of March 10th, have not hit our first 80-degree day yet. We are not expecting to hit 80 at all over the next 10 days. So we'll start to see when those 80s pop up in our long-range forecasting over the next couple of weeks. So we still have some time. So for those who are really hanging on to wanting to see some warmer spring-like temperatures, they will be on the way as we get into the end of March. What will also help is the fact that we sprung forward between Saturday and Sunday, and we start to get a lot more daylight. Between now in the end of March, we are going to gain 50 minutes of sunlight. And all of that daylight will help to warm the temperature even more as we have more time to sit with the sun. Now, sunsets are much later. Sunrises are also much later as well. And we'll talk more about that in the upcoming minutes. Now, as we head into spring, you may be wondering, where are all the butterflies gone? I used to, when I grew up, my mom used to plant lantana, and we used to have all these butterflies everywhere. One of my favorite flowers to have just because of the beautiful sight of those butterflies. Scientists are also asking the question of where the butterflies gone due to a startling drop in the number of these colorful insects, which may become a crisis. ABC's Andrew Dimbert has more.
New concern about the devastating decline of butterflies.
We've lost about 1 out of every 5 butterflies from 2000 to 2020.
Experts say sightings have been steadily falling in the last 20 years, sparking fears that nearly 1/4 of all butterflies have been wiped out. A newly released study finds the Southwest has been especially hard hit, from Arizona and New Mexico to Oklahoma and Texas. Researchers blame everything from climate change to chemicals.
We think that drought might be kind of the culprit there in terms of southwestern butterfly declines. Insecticides really were the #1 driver of declines for butterflies in the Midwest.
The drop in numbers is not specific to any kind of butterfly. Nearly 1/3 of all species are down at least 50%. Why so much concern? Butterflies play a key role in pollinating plants and are a part of the food chain. Their disappearance could take a major toll on ecosystems and agriculture. But there is some good news. Monarchs are seeing a rebound, with numbers in Mexico this winter nearly double those of last year. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
It's really sad to hear the decline of the butterfly population, but hopefully scientists can help us rejuvenate those populations so that we can get a little bit more joy back in our day seeing those beautiful insects fly through our skies. Now, with warmer temperatures returning, while it does bring back the insects, it also brings back allergies. Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandagis breaks down what you need to know to stay healthy this season.
Warm temperatures the last several days have really started to trigger some spring fever amongst folks here in Hampton Roads. Unfortunately, a symptom of the returning warmth is the start of spring allergies. Our annual allergy onslaught kicks off with the tree pollen ramping up right around now when we start to get bouts of warmer weather tucked in with all the cold. The peak for the tree pollen comes by mid-April. Next up is grass pollen, which quickly ramps up on the heels of tree pollen by late May and lingers through the later part of the summer. Now, mold has the longest tenure, seeing a steady incline beginning in early spring and lasting through late fall. Now, the cherry on top comes with that ragweed that makes itself known throughout our area by midsummer, but is very prevalent from late summer into the fall. Now, heading into this allergy season, here are some things you need to know. Tree, grass, and ragweed pollen thrive during cool nights and warm days. Pollen levels tend to peak in the morning hours, and rain does wash away the pollen. However, pollen counts tend to soar after that rainfall. This is because the raindrops can shatter larger clumps of pollen into smaller airborne particles. You can get your daily allergy report right here on all our weathercasts on 13 News Now this allergy season. I'm Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandagis.
And let's give you a look at today's allergy report here in Hampton Roads. Very similar to what we've been seeing the past few days. Tree pollen remains our biggest allergen. Juniper, maple, ash are the main pollinators for today that will produce those high pollen counts. So if you're allergic to juniper, maple, or ash, today is the day to take that allergy medicine. Tree pollens will range from the medium to high range, not only today, but through the next 4 days. If you're allergic to grass and weeds, that's not an issue at all for today, but grass pollen will start to become more of an issue as we head further into spring. Mold pollen will be low for your Monday, but if you're seriously allergic to mold pollen, you'll need to make sure you take the allergy medicine as well. Today, though, a pretty run-of-the-mill day for allergies. Again, our main pollinator will be those trees between juniper, maple, and ash. Today's a great day to get outside as well. We are talking a beautiful day, taking our Thompson Creek sky view full screen. Look at how beautiful it is, seeing those ships going along parts of the river. And we're seeing a few clouds here in Virginia. We'll start to see a few more clouds build in throughout the day today as a low pressure system continues to churn up the East Coast. Right now, temperatures are in those upper 40s, so it is a little chilly outside. But right now, we are talking sunset tonight around 7:08. Remember that we sprung forward over the weekend, and that caused us to have these later sunsets. I will say, even though I lost an hour of sleep over the weekend, I prefer the longer days and the later sunsets if I have to sacrifice one day with one less hour of sleep. But for those who are wondering when our 8 p.m. sunsets will kick in, that will be in the beginning of May, specifically May 8th here in Norfolk, where we'll see sunsets after 8 p.m. consistently throughout the rest of spring into the summertime. So longer days are ahead. And as I mentioned earlier, between now and the end of March, we're going to gain another 50 minutes of sunlight and daylight throughout Hampton Roads in northeastern North Carolina. So there's some good news packed into there as well. Now, right now, what are we dealing with? Well, we were underneath the dominance of high pressure. High pressure keeps us nice and dry. And also, when high pressure is in control for a few days, it also helps the air to warm. As air particles sink towards the ground, they dry out but also warm up. And that's what high pressure does for us. But what we're looking at right now is a low pressure system. This has been brewing in the Gulf of Mexico since the past couple of days. It originated near New Orleans and now is over southeastern Georgia into northeastern Florida. It's been providing rain continuously for the deep south over the past couple of days. We're seeing some widespread rain now moving into almost the entire state of South Carolina as you get into North Georgia as well. We do have some rain starting to move into southeastern North Carolina, and in northeastern North Carolina we could see some showers as well. But right now, just seeing increased cloud cover right now with some of those showers just offshore of the Outer Banks. So your futurecast over the next day or so shows that increased cloud cover will take this full. And it shows that increased cloud cover coming across Hampton Roads in northeastern North Carolina around lunchtime today. Today will be a pretty mild day, though. We'll see temperatures rising now from the 40s to the middle 50s around 11:45 to noon today. As we continue throughout the day, you'll notice how rain kind of keeps itself to the south of the Albemarle Sound. Temperatures by 3 to 4 p.m. will be in the upper 50s to lower 60s. Another thing that our spring forward process did entering daylight saving time is we are seeing those afternoon high temperatures occurring an hour later as well. So expect your normal high temperatures that we would usually see in the wintertime around 2 to 3 p.m. get shifted down an hour to 3 to 4 p.m. So warmer during the later afternoon compared to the middle of the afternoon. Rain chances start to spread further north throughout the late afternoon into the evening time. Temperatures will drop off into the upper 40s to the middle 50s, but we're talking showers for the Outer Banks, Elizabeth City, Eatonton, Ahoskie. So anywhere basically south of the Virginia-North Carolina border. We could see maybe an isolated shower making it into extreme southern Suffolk, extreme southern Chesapeake, or extreme southern Virginia Beach. But most of the Virginia side of our viewing area will be absolutely fine. No concerns about any wet weather for today. As we get into tonight, we'll see the rain tapering off and moving out to the east as that low pressure system moves out to the east through the Atlantic. We'll get some drier air behind that system and clearing conditions. Temperatures tonight will drop off into the upper 30s to the middle 40s. Now, the graph model has been showing for the past couple of days some morning sleet, not only for today, but for tomorrow as well. Those chances will be very low, so take this with a grain of salt. I don't even think that this will come to fruition, at least here in Hampton Roads in northeastern North Carolina. Now, today is also the start of Virginia's Severe Weather Awareness Week, and that is hosted or put on by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, or NWS, the National Weather Service. So today is all about terminology. What is a watch versus a warning? So I wanted to give you a little bit more about what to expect when it comes to a watch versus a warning. We are talking a watch. A watch means be prepared. It's more of an alert than an actual full out take cover. This alert allows you to get prepared for the impending severe weather. That just means conditions are favorable for tornadoes or severe thunderstorms to form in that area, and usually we'll get those watches. Another thing to keep you kind of separated from a watch versus a warning is that a watch is going to be a long-lasting alert. This usually lasts anywhere from 1 to 8 hours. So it's an hours-long process of having this tornado watch or severe thunderstorm watch. If you want to convert this over to severe thunderstorms, you just replace the word tornado with severe thunderstorm. For a warning, that means that the threat is imminent, and it's usually for a tornado indicated by radar, or we sometimes have weather spotters who chase tornadoes very safely, and they can show us or tell us that there's rotation on the ground. So for severe thunderstorms, a lot of the times these are the same thing, either spotted by radar, meaning that it picks up winds of over 58 miles per hour, or it sees on the radar hail that is over 1 inch in diameter, or we have people on the ground who are sending in storm reports saying, hey, I see winds of 58 miles per hour plus, I'm having some straight line wind damage, or they're sending pictures of hail. A warning means that you need to take action. So for a tornado warning, that means you need to get to your safe place. This watch allows you to assess where that safe place is. During a warning, your safe places are the lowest level of the building you're in, whether that's your work building, your school building, or if you're at home, your basement is one of the best places. If you don't have a basement or your building doesn't have a basement, try an interior room, mainly a bathroom or a closet that does not have windows, so keep yourself layered from the outside. The more levels you have or layers you have between you and the outside, the better. The last and the best place to have your safety place is a tornado shelter. Now, those are not as common here in the Mid-Atlantic, but for my friends who are watching out in parts of the Great Plains, you know exactly what I'm talking about. A lot of people in Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas, Missouri, Arkansas, they have tornado shelters that are just outside their house, but they can actually go underground into and have all of their preparedness stuff like their water, their food, their medicines, all of that is already ready. If you don't have that ready, make sure that you have a preparedness kit that includes the things I just mentioned, plus flashlights and batteries and phone chargers. You can do all of that right now as we have already entered meteorological spring, which also indicates the first day of severe weather season. So for us, we're talking a warning, again, being that actionable stage. A watch means get prepared. Now, one that we rarely see, I mean, this is a very rare warning, is a tornado emergency. Usually happens with those really catastrophic tornadoes, mainly in parts of the Great Plains, into the Midwest and the Deep South. Now, this means that the threat to human life is catastrophic, and we're talking catastrophic damage. Very rare warning, but something to keep in mind. Now, here in Virginia, this is a look of the average tornadoes per state in the month of March over a 25-year average, a 30-year average. 25-year average, correct. 25-year average, and we are talking Virginia only having 1 tornado per March every year. Now, of course, this is an average, so some months of March between 99 and 2023, we may not have had any, or sometimes we may have had way more than one. In North Carolina, that number is slightly higher, but not much, at 2 tornadoes per March every year on average. As you see, the darker the color, the more tornadoes on average they have per month. But each month, this goes up and up. As we get into April, we start to see activity for tornadoes starting to go up here in the mid-Atlantic. Tomorrow, after that low pressure system moves out, we're completely fine. We're going to see a lot of sunshine, temperatures starting off in the upper 40s. We're going to make it to the lower 60s by the afternoon tomorrow. So another beautiful but mild day, 5 degrees above normal for this time of year. On Wednesday, the sunshine continues, but we will have a backdoor front. We'll have a couple of backdoor fronts coming through the area this week. What a backdoor front is a front that drops from north to south. Usually our fronts move from west to east. So a backdoor front moves from the north through our area to the south, and that will drop our temperatures just a couple of degrees. We'll be in the lower 60s again, but overall a really pleasant day. No rain chances associated with that. Over the next 10 days, we're going to be consistent in temperatures as well. We had 50s in the picture for your Sunday, and over the next 10 days, 50s will be hard to come by. We're talking 60s and 70s, and each day through the next 10 days, at least for the next 5 days, will rise to the middle 70s. So it gets warmer and warmer as we enter the weekend, but this is ahead of a pretty strong front, and you can see where that front is as temperatures drop between Sunday and Monday about 10 to 15 degrees. And that front has the potential of bringing severe weather to parts of the heartland and the deep south, already outlined in high levels for severe weather, level 3 out of 5 risk for the heartland and the deep south from Friday into Saturday, as well as thunderstorms. You can see them popping up across the area as we enter the weekend. For us here in the mid-Atlantic, that threat is more of Sunday. Right now, not outlined in any severe weather risk at the moment, because what the Weather Service is saying is that this rain may wash away a lot of the severe weather potential. When you have a lot of cloud cover, that hinders how much sunlight can come down. Sunlight is the fuel for thunderstorms. The more heat that we can get, the more energy these storms have to get going. You take away that heat, you take away that sunlight, you take away the energy. And so if we have more rain that comes before those stronger storms, that will help to kind of diminish that severe weather threat. Not saying it's zero, but it's less likely to have widespread severe weather compared to places in parts of the middle of the country and the deep south over the next 7 days. So we'll watch for that strong cold front. For right now, expect widespread thunderstorms. Your 5 to 7 day forecast shows temperatures in the lower 60s today. Again, showers to our south, mainly in northeastern North Carolina, the Outer Banks, and south of the Albemarle Sound, but some of that rain will spread to the north to include places like Ahoskie, Eatonton, Elizabeth City during the evening time. Any rain that we do see today in North Carolina will go away overnight, so by 3 a.m., no more rain in the forecast as that low pressure system moves out to sea. And we'll see a lot more sunshine tomorrow. Temperatures in the middle 60s. And then again, that backdoor front comes on Wednesday, dropping temperatures a few degrees, but it's a very dry front. We're not seeing any increase of rain chances and very little increase of cloud cover either. So this front will only bring us a small temperature drop. We rise back to the lower 70s on Thursday with increased cloud cover, and then another backdoor front comes on Friday. Again, this will be another dry front, so we aren't expecting any rain chances to round out the work week. So we're going to be dry after today through Tuesday through Friday. It's the weekend where temperatures rise back to the middle 70s, and then we have that opportunity for some widespread rain on Sunday evening and Sunday afternoon. So definitely stay close to the forecast as we get into the next few days, looking ahead to Sunday. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you have not downloaded the 13 News Now Plus app, you can definitely do that right now. This 13 News Now app for your mobile device, you can scan the QR code right now and you can download it straight to your phone. You'll get updates from us about inclement weather that may be coming up, as we will issue weather impact alerts for days where we know that the weather will impact you in a negative way. So download the 13 News Now app. It's on your App Store or Google Play for free. And if you have not downloaded the 13 News Now Plus app for Roku, Amazon Fire, or Apple TV, that's also free, and you can add it to your television today. Thank you so much for joining me for the Weather Desk. Again, this happens Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. every day, and we talk about local weather here in southeastern Virginia and northeastern North Carolina, national weather, like I just mentioned, with that impending very strong severe weather threat coming through during the end of the week this week, or national weather and international weather, including astronomy about the lunar eclipse and about weather in other countries. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you want to learn more about anything that goes on here in Hampton Roads, you can go to 13newsnow.com. Again, I'm meteorologist Taylor Stephenson. Thank you so much for joining me today, and have a wonderful Monday.